Well, in this week's First Responders, we are delighted to have with us Calhoun County Sheriff Greg Pollan, who also serves as the president of the Mississippi Sheriff's Association 4 years in a row. How are you doing, Sheriff?
I'm great, thank you.
And thank you for joining us here. Now, you are the president of the Mississippi Sheriff's Association. Tell us a little bit about that role, because you've been doing it now 4 years in a row.
Yeah, 4 years, first four-term president in the history of the association. It's been a challenge. Been one of the greatest experiences I've ever had in my professional career. I'm responsible for the day-to-day operation of the association, helping the other sheriffs, setting up the conferences that we have twice a year, which is challenging to say the least. And we're at the Capitol all the time during session, things like that, just to further law enforcement and help the sheriffs across the state come together and work together.
Now, when it comes to you being the president, you have basically 81 people looking to you for help. How does that make you feel, being like that big brother, so to speak?
Humbling. I've been in the association for 13 and a half years, and when I first got in, I sat in the back of the room and was real quiet, trying to learn from those that had been there for a while. And I learned a ton doing that. So as the years progressed and I got on the board and then obviously elected president, I've tried to pass that along to the newer sheriffs and help them. But when a sheriff has been in office for 20 plus years, calls you and say, hey, you know, how do I do this? What do we need to do? How can we do this? You know, it's humbling, but it's a great feeling when you know that your 81 brothers put their vote and confidence in you to do this job.
And of course, we were looking at some of the other sheriffs across the state. Now, this was also something very humbling too.
Yeah, that was probably one of the highlights of my career, to go and be able to shoot that commercial with the Attorney General and Chief Randy Tudor, who was my very first training officer. You know, it's a circle of life. And to be able to go and do that and take a part of the ceremony the couple weeks after we shot that commercial was humbling. It was very moving. You know, these officers, deputies across the state put their lives on the line, and they paid the ultimate sacrifice. And what we did that day was just a very small tribute for what the price that they paid for us. So it was really moving, and I was so glad that I was invited to asked to take a part of it.
Now, there are some needs that the sheriffs are looking for across the state. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, we're always dealing with the legislature for different things. You know, in this climate today, you know, training and education is one of the biggest things that we fight. And we offer the training to the sheriffs. And we're required to get 20 hours a year. And so we do that through our conferences. But, you know, now all law enforcement officers across the state have to have a minimum of 24 hours per year. So that's been a challenge, especially for smaller agencies and things like that. And the biggest one that we're fighting right now is staffing and personnel recruitment, retention. And in the climate across the country, it's not just Calhoun County, it's not just Mississippi. I've talked to sheriffs all over the United States that are having the same problem. Pay, retention, just getting people to apply is a problem these days. And we work on that constantly. We're always putting our heads together. We talk about it at every conference, email chains or whatever, trying to figure out a way to get young people into law enforcement in the state. I'm not real happy about Tier 5 retirement, because now it's a 35-year retirement, and we feel across the board, law enforcement, that that's going to be another deterrent to law enforcement. Getting in this job, this profession, and staying 35 years is going to be hard. So we plan on aggravating the legislature next season to see if we can do something about that.
All right, then. Well, thank you so much there, Sheriff Greg Pollan, for joining us this afternoon.